What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Champion Living Podcast, the only podcast crossing the lines between the sport of rodeo and fitness. Today's episode, we are talking about how to overcome those plateaus in the gym, and we're catching up a little bit about life. Let's get it. Anyways, yeah. So I had a good couple hours there just talking shit to PETA people on YouTube, which was fun. So anyone who's listening, if you're interested in a good laugh and some entertainment, just swing over to our YouTube channel and
be sure to like and subscribe while you're there.
Yeah, please like and subscribe. That would be awesome. But we're also posting each of these episodes full length video recordings of everything. So you guys can check that out. You can watch live.
See our beautiful faces.
Yeah, I mean, it gets way worse when you put a picture to it. So I would just keep it on the audio, but no, just kidding. Check it out. Check out our YouTube channel. We're putting up lots of content, and some of that content is full length podcast episodes.
Especially when Doug wakes me up too early for this stuff.
I know. Well, I feel like that's every day.
Yeah.
Anything before 11 a.m. is like, why do we have to do this? Why? What are we doing?
Also, I'm up at just ridiculous hours. I sent a meme to my buddies from college, and it was like Forrest Gump just standing there, and it's like 3 pictures of it, and it's like me whenever I stay the night at a friend's house in the morning because no one's ever up. And then my buddy Mason writes back, he's like, I feel like that's you just everywhere, dude. I was like, yeah, that's pretty correct.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because the sun's coming up earlier now or what, but I have been just like waking up earlier, been beating my alarm up. So
that's awesome.
Opposite
proud of myself for that.
And I'm staying up past 9 p.m. much more frequently.
Oh, I'm still staying up to like almost midnight, but I'm waking up at like 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock.
Dude, midnight?
Oh, gosh, this is not good. Not enough sleep.
I don't see midnight unless I'm just hammered. There's no way. I can't do it. I'm so old. I just also up at 4, but regardless, like 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. comes around. See ya.
Yep.
Like Dougie's done.
Yep. I was in bed at 8:30 last night. It was amazing. Put the kids down early because I was like, I'm over it. So I put the kids down at like 7:40 or something like that and stretched for a few minutes. And by 8:30, it was amazing. But I like, also up or super early.
Yeah.
I get so much more done that way.
We've had a little bit of a routine regression with the new baby and stuff. So the kids are like just not ready to go to bed at 7:30 like they used to be, like, like bath, bedtime. It's just not happening right now. And then even we'll go to bed, 8:30. I think I've even put them in bed like after 9 o'clock a couple times. And it's like, then they'll just lay awake and bug me for an hour. And it's like, oh gosh. You have to go to sleep. This is not good.
Turn the lights off and shut the door.
I've been sleeping in their bed, actually. Like, we bought Cannon a full-size bed, and he had a little toddler bed, and he outgrew it. Like, he was, stretched from end to end and, like, couldn't move. And so I was like, well, we got to get him a bigger bed, and I don't want to, like, buy multiple beds over the course of his childhood. So we just bought a full-size bed, and there's been a few times, like, if the baby's not sleeping very good, like, I'll just go sleep with them, but I can put him and Charlie both in the same bed, and they'll sleep better that way. They won't, because they have somebody close by. They're not across the room or whatever.
Yeah, cool. Well, that's kind of unfortunate for you, but
yeah, that's very
balance out. I hope
we'll figure it out.
I've been sleeping with Cannon
at like 1 month mark.
Yeah, I've been sleeping with Cannon ever since this 4th kid came. The kid's fussy and in bed with us, the baby, and I'm like, I'm out. I'm just gonna go over here. Cannon sleeps all night, so I will see you for like 4 months now. I haven't been sleeping in our bed. Cannon has a queen size. He is like the bottom bunk, which is like a queen, or it's a relatively large bed, and so we can both sleep in there and never touch each other. It's amazing. So I get full night rest over there.
That's
especially for him. He's tiny.
Yeah, that's very true.
He's taking up a corner.
Well, I had a couple nights like where I'd
get in your corner, boy.
Reading books or whatever, and I fall asleep on the floor next to his toddler bed, and I was like, I'm done with that. Like, we need a bigger bed so that I can fall asleep comfortably next to him. So
that's funny.
I'm not thinking Logan's too crazy right now.
Yeah,
with that method.
I'm just taking it all in.
Yeah.
It's not making me want to have kids anymore.
No, it's It's different.
It is not making me want to
like
do that
everything
very
that you've
much.
done before, or like up, you're how old now? 33.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like for the last 33 years, everything that you've done, like you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
At least in the same way. Like it's all
kind
different
of the
now.
hard thing for me is like I keep thinking, not that I do want kids, but it's like, dude, we can't just do whatever we want anymore. Like you got to do a lot of what you don't want, and
Yeah. But see, like on the same token, like that's kind of a sacrifice that I think you should probably make, because you're going to be a great dad. Like you're great with kids. Kids love you, and then like your values and your motivation, everything, like you have to help repopulate the earth and try to outnumber these wackos out here. So we need good people to have more babies.
Very true.
I agree with that. I don't know why I just had that stepbrother scene pop into my head when the lumberjack comes in. He's like, I've traveled all this way to give you my seed. Oh my gosh. But awesome. No, I am looking forward to being a dad eventually. But it is like hearing you guys talk about this is like, yeah, I've been doing the same things. I'm pretty much a solid creature of habit here after 33 years. And that is going to get flipped all the way upside down on its head whenever that comes around. So I'm just enjoying being able to do the things that I enjoy now. And hopefully the other thing is I hear with a lot of people say is like, do what you want now, because once you have kids, it's over. And man, I just see so many of our friends and clients that, and I don't know if it's just the rodeo lifestyle, but it does have a part of it. Everyone in rodeo travels, but they just put the kids in tow with them and go.
Yeah, and it's not over. Like anybody that says that, like they've just kind of given up. Like it's not over. You just have to change your strategy a little bit. Like things take a little longer to plan, takes a little longer to execute. So you have to plan for more time. Like it's not over. You can still do all of the things that you love to do.
I would argue it got better. I mean, it's only gotten better since I've had kids. As good as it was to be able to go do whatever I wanted to, whenever I wanted to. It's hard for me to remember a time in which I didn't have children. And I would say that my life has got exponentially better. People that are like, oh my gosh, I'm turning 30. So far, my 30s have been way better than my 20s. And raising kids has been, it's given me extra motivation, for whether it be working out or work goals or whatever it might be. Having children is, I think it can arguably one of the best things that anybody could do. And it's, it has given me life, not taking it away, for sure.
That's rank.
Yep,
that's what it's about. That's what it's about. Guys, let's get into today's topic a little bit. I'm excited about bringing this up because I feel like this is probably something that everyone, if you've been going to the gym for any amount of time, longer than a month, you've probably experienced this. And we're going to talk about hitting plateaus and what you should do if, you do find yourself in a plateau. I, for one, I hit strength plateaus not usually because of my program. I usually hit them because I get bored or complacent, and I will stop doing the things that I need to in order, to increase my strength. So just like weight loss plateaus, strength plateaus are really common. Fortunately, we have a few ways that we can break through these things and start seeing some of those strength gains again. We're going to put together a list for you guys of our top, I think it's 4 or 5 things that are going to help you break through those plateaus. Paul, go ahead and.
Well, I just want to hit on like what you said first of all, is like, getting bored with your workouts. And I hit a strength plateau last summer, I believe. It was like 3 or 4 weeks. Like I almost like felt like weights that I was doing previously were harder. And at that time I was like looking for something to blame it on. And I went and got like my test levels checked and stuff. And I was like, God, hopefully it's this, because that I know it's not my fault. and sure enough, those were fine. And so then I was like, well, damn, it's my fault. So, kind of looking at the what you were saying, like you kind of get bored, and then like what kind of effect that has on your consistency. And it makes it harder to show up to the gym when you're not looking forward to to your workout. And I think it's on the opposite end of that. Like, it's kind of easy to become complacent. Like, once you hit certain numbers, like if you had a goal before and then you hit it and then you're like, all right, I'm there, I'm good. And then you just keep doing the same things, but then progress stalls. So like when you are not getting to the gym as often, you're decreasing your overall volume with, like, you know, by the frequency of your workouts, but you're not working out any harder on the days that you are working out. Like, you're not doing yourself any favors that way. You just basically took half of the time you had to progress, you just took it away. And I know clients struggle with this all the time. Sometimes life happens. Like, you just get to a point where your schedule's not going to allow you to maintain the 4 or 5 days a week that you were doing before. And so, like, when that happens, like, you need to make sure that you're adjusting your intensity for the days that you do have to work out, and you're not leaving any of that on the table.
Absolutely, man. I agree with that 1,000%. That lack of consistency is usually going to be the number one instigator that we're looking at, especially when we're talking with people that are, onboarding to be a client, or just in general is, I used to work out, blah, 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 very consistently, and then I've fallen off, and my results have fallen off as well. So how do I get back to it? And I think that keeping it interesting is a great way to do that. And then next step we're going to get into is, we say this same old song and dance, just doing the same thing over and over. And we've talked about this with cardio a lot, in the sense that that first month, 6 weeks, you've never run in your life before, done any kind of cardio activity. You start completing those activities and you start seeing changes, right? Well, after that 6-week mark or so, just depending on the person and the amount that they're doing the activity, you are going to start seeing those plateaus. Your body is getting better at handling that stress and is not having to work as hard to complete the activity, is not having to burn as much fuel to complete the activity. So therefore, the response that your body is getting from that activity is no longer the same. This applies across the board for resistance training as well. If we are just doing the same old, bench press, curls, tricep extensions, maybe some leg press machine, and we do that for months on end at the same rep scheme, same sets, well, of course that we're going to hit a plateau there. We're not challenging the body in any new way. We're not creating any new kind of stressors or resistance, adding any more resistance to it. So we have to continually change what we're doing, because our bodies are so good at adapting. And we've talked about that a lot. And that's the reason that we don't love cardio as a way to change your body, unless, again, you are competing in a cardio sport. Need it for specific health reasons. But if you are just hammering away at cardio, our body is so good at adapting to that, because of where we evolved from, that you're going to have you're going to see those plateaus a lot more often in that kind of activity. And again, with the resistance bands, or resistance training in general, we can use bands, dumbbells, whatever. There are ways that you can change the stimulus of what you're doing. And a really simple examples we can look at is, you've been doing RDLs for a long time. Well, how can we change that up and make the stimulus and the stressors different? We could add a balance pad. Easy. Changes it a lot, promise, especially when you start changing that to single leg stuff. Using resistance bands, using chains, things like that, again, add a little bit of extra weight, but again, adding stability or instability to what you're doing. And it's going to, again, you're having to adapt. You're having to stress the body in different ways. You're going to see changes. You're going to feel those changes probably the next day, and just being a little bit more sore. I for one, I always notice that is I'll go do something new, and the next day I'm wrecked. And it's not that thing was very hard. It's just that your body wasn't used to it, and it saying, hey, we like that. We're responding to that. We're going to build some strength. So let's keep doing that till we're not feeling that anymore. And then we need to, again, move on. You're doing double arm, double leg, bilateral movements, change it up. Isolateral, single leg, single arm movements, really isolate those sides and make them work. And you'll notice huge changes or differences. I did, at least when I first started doing this, was, damn, I thought I was pretty even. And I'm noticing that my right or my left side is stronger in this movement or the other.
Yeah.
Have you guys noticed that at all?
Dude, yeah. Very recent example. I just started putting rear foot elevated split squats back in my program. And I did them very consistently, at least once a week for probably over a year. And then I haven't had them in for maybe the last 4 or 5 months. And now here
you
they
feel
are
like
again.
a bitch when you get back to them.
Oh
huh?
my gosh, man.
Yeah.
And those imbalances, especially for me, I've got one leg that's shorter than the other. So like continuing to do back squat throughout that entire time, that imbalance for me kind of comes back. And now that I've realized it, I think it comes back rather quickly when I'm ignoring the unilateral movements. And yeah, I went to go do the rear foot elevateds, and I was doing like half the weight that I was before. My one leg was my knees like wanting to cave in. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've been missing out. I shouldn't have never ignored this one. But
it's easy to
a little change in that stimulus makes it a huge difference.
And it's easy to get a little complacent with that, or kind of master something and be like, "Oh, I'm going to have that in the toolbox forever." But if there's one thing I've realized, that is not true at all. And we see that with athletes, we see that with ourselves. Those little exercises that you did to counteract, to correct some kind of imbalance, has to be continually done in order to keep that imbalance in balance. I am number one. See that with my hip flexors and my hips. So I've got some stuff going on just from riding bucking horses. Popped a couple of these hip flexors. I don't know if I tore them in the day or whatever, but I have to continually do those things, or I will be in a bad spot. And to the point where like my lower back's hurting, my hips are hurting, my groins are hurting. It's all connected together. But it's because I haven't been strengthening my hip flexors. And I went through a little spurt of that this winter. I was trying to put on some strength, so I just went barbell. And I hadn't done barbell in a long time. So I was seeing a big response in the beginning. But I stopped doing those stability exercises. And here I am, 3 months in, 4 months in. Yeah, 3 months in. And I'm sore, dude. My hips hurt, my back hurts, everything is hurting. I stopped doing the barbell, not stopped. I made it a priority to make sure I was doing those little exercises as primers first, and then my strength work was second. Already feeling better after 4 days of doing that. So it's crazy how quickly your body can go out, but also how quickly it can bounce back if it knows what to do. What about variability? Logan, you were talking about that the other day when we were on the phone.
Man, I think that, you guys have hit on some great points as far as breaking through plateaus and changing up our exercises is one definite way in which you can change up. A lot of times we tell people to stick to the basics. If you're working on strength, a back squat and deadlift, bench press, those are going to be the staples. We might not move on from those during this cycle, but there's definitely lots of other ways in which we can challenge the body and the central nervous system still in those exercises. So variability, meaning one of the ways is tempo, the rate at which you're performing the exercise. We've talked about this on the podcast before, but if you've just been lowering the barbell rather fast into the bottom of a squat, maybe 1 second down, think about slowing that down and controlling it for 2 or 3 seconds. Hold it in the bottom for a solid 1 second to start, and then come back up. Changing that tempo is definitely going to help you. You'll find that the weight that you were doing, maybe you were doing 5 repetitions, a 5x5, for example, of a back squat at 225 pounds, for example, you'll find that if you add a little tempo in there and you make each rep last 5 or 6 seconds, all of a sudden 225, man, we might be getting 3 reps with that. We have to go down a little bit in weight, but it'll allow us to break through. Adding weight, changing the rep scheme, the rest period, all is going to be ways in which you can play with those variables and break through plateaus in your lifting.
Hell yes. What about machines versus free weights, Paul?
Yeah, man, I feel like this is a big one, especially for our athletes. I don't think it's as common maybe as as it might be in general population, but you know, if you go to any commercial gym, there's going to be a plethora of machines there. And so if somebody's brand new to the gym, what's the first thing they're going to do? They're probably going to stay away from the barbell and the dumbbells. They're really not sure what they should do with those, but there's these machines on here that show you, you know, exactly how to sit. It shows you exactly what to do. And that's all great and fine. But, you know, for an athlete, we don't want to be stuck to these like singular plane, machines. Like a machine's basically going to force you into a certain position and you're going to follow its range of motion. So there's not going to be much beyond that. So if you're one that's utilizing machines to train, say your legs or your arms or your back or whatever, your body's lying on this intramuscular coordination to, you know, get through this motor recruitment for these single joint exercises, because there's only one path you can travel. So you're getting, you know, maybe a max contraction at a certain position, but that's it. But if we take like an intermuscular approach where we're talking about compound lifts, then it's your full body working together to accomplish the goal of lifting the weight or moving the weight. So if you start doing more squats and deadlifts, you're forcing all of your muscles to kind of work in unison throughout this multi-joint movement. And I feel like if you're not utilizing these, that could be a very, very easy way to start breaking through a plateau. Like if your plateaus, or if you're seeing plateaus and you're not including these exercises, I think you should be like right now, because it's just going to add overall greater stimulus to your entire workout routine, and eventually you'll be able to move a lot more weight.
Absolutely.
Agreed, man. Agreed. I think that kind of leads us into the mindset side of things as well. And adding weight can be intimidating, and that's okay. Everyone goes through that. I've gone through that. Y'all have been through that. What really matters is not worrying about adding a shit ton of weight, right? These small increases can help big time. And so, we write on my programs all the time with my clients, try and add 2.5 pounds to that this week. Okay. Well, if I had 2.5 pounds, and I usually say by the last set, you know, so by that last set, we're getting a little bit different stimulation than we had last week. And usually they're adding it on probably that second to last set and the last set as well, especially if they're athletes who like to push a little bit. But is that destroying them? Absolutely not. If I left them to their own devices, especially younger athletes, what would they do? They would add probably 25 pounds instead of 2.5. And then they would fail one and be like, I don't know what happened, and my back's tight and this hurts. And yeah, it's a train wreck, right? So we want to, small increases are going to help so much, and they're going to help your mindset, because you are going to be able to, most likely, you're going to accomplish that lift. And what's that going to do? It's going to boost your success rates. And what's that going to do? Your, what's the word I'm looking for? Confidence is going to be higher the next time you go into the gym, definitely leaving the gym. So make those little jumps, y'all. Make sure that you're kind of playing the mind games and know yourself. You know, if you put 10 pounds on each side, 20 extra pounds, you're going to sit there and think about it a little bit more than if you added 2.5 to each side. That's 5 pounds total, right? You can continue to add 2.5 to 5 pounds each set if you wanted to, as long as the proper form and technique were being executed and that you felt confident about it. But what we're saying here is, don't worry about the gym and what you think that you're supposed to be doing in the gym and what you think everyone is looking at you and thinks you're supposed to be doing. No one gives a shit about that, right? Walk your own race or run your own race. Stick to your guns on being patient, on adding the weight, and don't be afraid to add a little bit of weight, especially if you've been practicing something for an extended amount of time. You know, with our beginning level athletes, we're doing the same movements, at least the first 4 weeks. What we're doing is we're changing the reps sometimes, or we're changing the amount of weight lifted per week. So they might do 10 sets times 10 reps times 3 sets for 4 weeks. But over each week, I'm saying add 2.5 pounds, add 2.5 pounds, add 2.5 pounds. And by week 4, again, beginning level athletes, they're seeing changes very quickly, but they're going to see a huge increase in the amount of weight they could do from the first week with that 10 reps to that last week. And then we're going to change things from there, right? Depending on what their goals are. So, play like positive mind games with yourself, I would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You guys have any tricks that you do?
I just have a personal example from this morning. I didn't really want to go to the gym, and you've talked about that quite a good bit over the last couple months. Or there are days where you just don't want to go. And to be completely honest, there's been a lot of time, like you say that, and man, I don't know. I'm always fired up to go to the gym. And this morning was one of those mornings where I've got a lot going on this week work-wise and with the kids, and I didn't want to go, but I knew that I needed to. And so I went, and I'm going through a little bit of a strength cycle and working on some back squats to a box. And last week I hit 2 repetitions. This week called for 2 repetitions again, and I had a pretty heavy weight on there. And this week I'm warming up and I'm getting close. I'm on my last, I would call it my first working set, but it was 10 pounds lighter than what I hit for my last set the week before. And I did my 2 reps, and that second rep was very challenging. Very challenging. And I thought, man, I'm supposed to go up another 10 pounds is where I was at last week. You know what I did? I took 4 minutes rest in between sets, and I hit 4 more sets at that weight. I didn't go up. I didn't hit last week. And so I knew that mentally, I think mentally going into the gym this morning, I just wasn't present. I wasn't as fired up. I wasn't there mentally. And instead of being like, well, this is what the paper says I need to be hitting, I'm just going to feel my body out. I'm going to take plenty of rest. I'm not in a hurry, and I'm going to do what feels heavy and strong today. And I could come back next week and probably be better for not pushing my form breaking down, my low back starting to hurt, or not bracing correctly. And so sometimes it's like that. Not every workout you set a PR. In fact, as the more you train, the less that seems to happen.
Yeah, for sure. I love that example. And I've got one from just this last weekend where it was more like within the set, I had to work on my confidence. Like I had to teach myself a lesson like during my set. And I was doing a 1 rep max for my Olympic lifts, and a weight that I thought I could get that was higher than last week's number, but a weight that I thought I should be able to handle. I put it on the bar after my warm up, and I'm like, I can get this. And I failed it. And so I take take a little break, walk around, like try and clear my head a little bit, try it again, failed it again. And I'm like, what the heck? I know I'm strong enough to do this. Like, I know I can do it. And so I backed the weight off, pulled weights off. And I said, okay, here's where I'm going to start. And I'm going to add 2.5 pounds for the next 5 sets until I get there. And sure enough, like by adding that 2.5 pounds, I was able to see the completion. Like I hit the first one. Okay, now I can go up 2.5. Hit the next one. Okay, cool. Now I know I can do it. I'm going to go up 2.5. And so like I had to break it down. I couldn't just jump straight to that heavier weight that I wanted to get. I had to slowly use like incremental weights to get me there. And, sure enough, by the time I got to go try that heavier weight again, I was like, now I know I can do it because I just did 2.5 pounds less last time. Like, sure enough, I can do this.
That's awesome.
Those are 2 really, really good examples, and they're 2 very different, which I like. Paul's example on one end is, again, fighting that urge that we have as athletes and kind of intense people usually in rodeo to go to this level instantly, and I should be able to do that. Instead, he had to back it off and kind of check his ego and say, okay, I need to systematically get this in order, or it's never going to go well. If my processes and systems suck, I'm never going to lift this weight. So what did he do? He reaffirmed that his processes are good and his systems work each time he hit that weight. And he just added a little bit each time and successfully got there. If we did that in life, and not just the gym, dude, sky is the limit. That applies to so much more than just working out. Everyone sees this end game and thinks that the goal, and we just got to get there right now. Dude, if you just look at the next step in front of you, what is the next step? Well, that next step might not even really relate to the end goal right now. You can't see the goal from this step, but if you keep stepping, you're going to get there. And so that's really cool to see that. And that was something I learned from weightlifting and CrossFit too, man, was you have to be patient. You have to do the things and trust the things that and the weight will move. The second you start trying to grip it and rip it and do things your way, it never goes very, very well, right? We got to work with the world a little bit. And then Logan, I think that's really important because we write programs that are there for the perfect world, right? And we make and our ability to adjust them is what makes them so successful. That adjusting is what you did on your own. Now, when we are working with clients, we're not there with our clients. So we're always reiterating to them, if you aren't feeling these percentages, if you aren't feeling this good, do what that percentage for your body is that day.
Yes.
And that is going to, what your body's telling you right now, when that weight felt heavy as shit, is that, hey, bud, I'm not recovered like we were. We have been working on strength for 4 to 6 weeks. And you know what? I'm tired and I need time to recover. And so maybe we need a deload week. Maybe we need to go in there and just move lightly like you did, and stay at that weight. And your body's going to thank you for that. You know, you'll feel much better instead of just continually digging that hole a little deeper. And then all of a sudden we're in this huge recovery hole. We haven't slept enough. We can't sleep enough literally in a day to make up for what we need to. So it's going to do 2 days of needing to chill. And you're just, it takes longer to get out of the hole then. So if you're listening to your body, you know, and anybody listening now, if you're on a program, quit being so fucking literal about everything and listen to your body and do what your body tells you. No one knows your body like you. I don't care if I have you there for a 1 rep max. If you're not ready, don't do it. Write a note and be at that level of an athlete, or just know your body and say, hey, coach, I was not feeling a 1 rep max today. I went and hit some air squats with some holds because I'm wrecked from traveling, or whatever it is. You were your own best advocate, you know, so you have to tell your coaches what you're feeling, be real with yourself about what you're feeling, and go from there. But I think those are 2 really, really good lessons for anybody listening. You know, and those 2 things can lead you to not working out if they're not addressed, I would say, because on Paul's side, you get so frustrated that you can't lift the damn weight. F this. And then Logan's side, oh, I have to be tough. You know, if you went the other way, and then you end up hurt or whatever. So 2 really good lessons to learn. I love that. You guys have anything else to finish this up? Any other tips that you have for people hitting plateaus?
Man, I
think
so.
that sums it up.
Yeah, we covered. I mean, I gave
that was a lot.
Two of my most recent personal examples. So, I mean, hopefully there's enough in here. No matter what somebody's facing right now, they're at least going to find something from that, and or you know, keep it in the bank for next time when they do end up running into a plateau. Because that's one thing that I want to wrap up. If everything's smooth sailing right now and it's all going good, and you're like, oh, I don't need to tune in, and I'm not in a plateau. It's like, you will be. It's going to happen at some point. Like it will happen. So
just give it time. And I know, personally speaking, and I would assume for you guys as well, you know, we love answering questions and being able to help. And so, you know, if you're listening to this, you know, you could shoot any of us a DM and just say, hey, here's a little bit of the situation and what's going on. You know, what do you think? And we could give you our professional opinion on kind of where you're at. And I obviously would highly recommend working with a coach, whether it's us or one of the other great companies out there in which you can get remote training. Having a coach that is seeing where you're at, pinpointing muscle imbalances, writing a program from scratch for you is going to be one way to really help you break through those plateaus and make sure that you keep improving day in and day out in the gym. Whether you're a rodeo athlete or just an active mom, it doesn't matter. But having somebody outside of your close friends and family list that does it for a living can really help you level up. So I would highly recommend, no matter where you get it from. It's not really a sales pitch because there's a lot of great companies out there, but you could definitely working with a coach is one way that will help you.
Yeah. If you're someone that's, you know, you don't know what to do, you don't know where to start, that's why you invest in something like a coach or someone that can help you with your fitness journey, your rodeo journey, whatever it is. And in that sense too, just remember that you are investing in their knowledge. So if you're going to sign up with them, do what they say. Like actually do this stuff. My favorite is getting people that pay you X amount for a month or to train with you monthly, and then try and tell you what they think they should be doing. And it's like, okay, who's paying who to tell who what to do? Or like I'm confused. Yeah, that's another podcast. How about we'll go down that rabbit hole a different day.
Tune in next week.
Yeah. And tomorrow's episode. Guys, just for girls, everybody, something to remember. These are tools for the toolbox. Speaking of having those right tools, we got to thank our friends over at Beastmaster Rodeo. They've got top-notch rodeo equipment for the highest level of athletes to beginners. No matter what event you're working in, Beastmaster's got you covered. Confidence starts in your rigging bag, so make sure you got the baddest one going down the road. You can use our discount code CHAMPIONLIVING. Is it at it?
Yep.
Is that our discount code?
Champion Living. Yep.
I had the numbers in there from the other one. The 10. I was like, is there a 10 on the end of that? No, it's a caps lock, all one word. Champion Living, going to save you 10% on all of their gear. Check them out, y'all. Beastmasterradio.com. Until next time, y'all. We'll catch you later.